Hey everybody, this is ModernRetroGamer, and well, I decided to record this basically because E3 is just over, and Nintendo had a lot of good stuff. I'm not really going to be doing any. I'm definitely not doing anything about the Xbox or the PS4 because really I don't pay attention to those. I'm a Nintendo fanboy, honestly. Bought 3DS at launch, bought Wii U the Christmas after it was released. But anyway, Nintendo at E3. There was a lot of games either updated or announced. And I'm going to start talking about the big one. The one that we were most anticipating at E3, or at least I was anyway. Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS. We got no less than effectively 6 character announcements during the actual event. We got Palutena, who was in the fan rosters that were being quote unquote leaked all the time, but we kind of knew she wasn't going in. Now she's gone in, and we all feel a bit silly. And she fights a bit like Pit does. While Pit is using the weapons from Kid Icarus Uprising, she's actually using the powers that Pit was able to use in Smash Brothers. And we also got Pac-Man. This isn't just the 2D sprite Pac-Man. Waka 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 waka. It's a proper. This is 3D Pac-Land Pac-Man with the giant nose and stuff, so he has arms and legs to kick and punch with as well, so much more varied than just moving 2D. Mr. Game & Watch is said to return, which is always fun because of the fact that even in a game as heavily kinetic as Super Smash Bros., I always felt that Mr. Game & Watch was a very good character. Not the most dynamic, but he was still kind of funny, just due to the fact he even walked kind of like it was an LCD screen, just all his frames would never touch. And then the final character announcement, numbers 5, and 6 of the 6 were Mii's. Uh, and when I first saw Mii's, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense that you're doing it, but it doesn't make sense why. And then, basically, looking at it, it seems that they just took the Mii heads and put them on comp fighters. Like, form, the brawler form of the Mii, it's almost as if, I don't know how to explain it. Perhaps if they took a Street Fighter character and then put him in the game. Because it's primarily punching and kicking. I saw the green missile being used, Luigi's side special for Brawl, but other than that, all the rest seemed like original moves. Um, we have the swordsman, who is kind of in design, kind of aping Ike's design from Brawl, but he seems to have a much more fluid sword swing, so a bit more like Link or Marth in that regard. And then we have the Gunner, who just basically took the Samus suit from Nintendo Land and brought it to the fight, which I can understand the logic of. And we also discovered that each um, each of them have each of the specials. There are 3 different variations of the special that you can use. There's the base character, which you use online, but then there is also the ability to use when playing with friends or just playing offline to use specially custom made characters who might have up special 2, side special 1, normal special 3, and down special 2. It's just kind of set up like that. I want to know how this works for the Pokemon in the franchise, because, say, Jigglypuff, it has Sing, which will send other people in the arena to sleep, I think. Um, how would that work? Is there going to be a variation of Sing that has a wider range of effect, but it doesn't affect them for as long? One that has a smaller area of effect and doesn't do as or last longer? Or is it just going to be like how Pokemon would normally do it, and I suspect have completely different moves? So so you might have Sing or Smog or sorry, Sing, Toxic, and maybe Will-O-Wisp trying to do status effects on a single special. So it's like, yeah, I know if he presses that button, he's going to do something to me, but I'm not sure whether it's going to incapacitate me, do decent damage over time, or do decent damage over time, because burn and poison, obviously, would do similar effects. Uh, anyway, moving on from Smash Brothers, the second big game, I think, uh, of the event. Now, this is just in terms of kind of information given, was Hyrule Warriors, which is a cross between the Dynasty Warriors franchise and The Legend of Zelda, obviously. Now, at E3, we had the roster of playable characters that we know of double. In addition to Link and Impa, which we knew obviously from previous announcements, we got Zelda and Midna. Zelda, completely new design, but Midna from Twilight Princess in her little imp form. She has a Twilight version of Wolf Link. It's very interesting. However, during the trailer, I noticed some things. First of all, Zelda is shown wielding multiple weapons. While she does have a sword, what appears to be a rapier, much like she did in Twilight Princess, she's also shown using the light arrows. And at the very end of the trailer, we see her opening a chest and getting a hook shot. Now, this suggests to me that, unlike Dynasty Warriors, you may be able to use kind of Legend of Zelda items to traverse the terrain. Like you may use a hammer to break some rocks that are in the way of a shortcut. You might use the hook shot to go over the heads of hundreds of moblins so that you can assist a character on the other side of the map. That's a very interesting addition, and I can really see how it would work, because some of the characters, let Zelda herself, Impa, Link, they're on foot. They need more kind of accessibility. Midna, on the other hand, she has her giant hand, so she can probably stretch that far anyway, and she has Wolf Link, so she probably moves at a much faster pace, which means she's probably going to be on the weaker side of things. Or considering her giant hand again does the massive slam in the trailer, it might just be that she has a slower wind up to her attacks. So her attacks could be normal strength, but because she moves so fast, her attacks are actually slower, while the other three would be more balanced. Maybe Zelda has more magical abilities than physical abilities, but still. But on Reddit, somebody uploaded the actual press pack for for Hyrule Warriors, and in it was a picture of the box art. Now, I don't know if this is just somebody trolling Reddit or something, but when I saw it, I did do a double take, because on the box art, alongside Zelda and Link, is a blue-haired girl who really we haven't seen anything of. So the box art was the first time I've seen her, and she's wielding a tome with what looks like a moon on the cover in a circle. I think that's one of the emblems from like Ocarina of Time or something. But when I see a blue-haired girl in the Zelda franchise, I only think of one thing: Oracle of Ages, specifically Nehru, the Sage of Wisdom or whatever from Oracle of Ages, who is a reincarnation of the goddess Nehru, I think. And spoiler alert, skip for about a minute if you don't want spoilers. If, as we already know, Zelda is a reincarnation of the goddess Hylia. We knew this from Skyward Sword, and every Zelda has her spirit within her. But this raises the question, if Nehru is in the game, we can safely assume that Din and Furore are also going to be in the game. Um, Obviously, Nehru using a tome because she's the goddess of wisdom. She gave us the Triforce of Wisdom. Din might have a giant hammer or something because she's goddess of power, so she's really strong. And then Furore, goddess of courage, um, we can safely assume perhaps twin daggers. I don't know. Going in woefully unprepared, but due to her sheer tenacity and desire and belief that she can win, uh, she gets out on top anyway. And well, it wouldn't be a Nintendo presentation without Mario, so Mario Maker. Make your own Mario levels, put them in the Super Mario Brothers style or the new Super Mario Brothers U style, and switch in between indiscriminately. I'm worried. I am honestly worried that people are just going to make insane death traps just in Mario. And I mean, worse than Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels are, because there's a lot more in the game, and it shows the ability to change power-ups as well, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Um, and then also, besides Hyrule Warriors, there was also a new Zelda announced. We only saw a trailer, and even then, it wasn't actual gameplay, it was just a cinematic. But we see this vast field, a couple of goats. Uh, I saw a volcano on the other side of the expanse, which I presume is Death Mountain, uh, which is always good to see, although the name doesn't imply that. And we see what we assume is Link on his horse when a giant Octorok boss comes out of the ground and starts to chase Link down, and then breaks a bridge. Link is trapped, and just using explosive arrows, so much suggesting a wider variation on arrow type, not just flame, ice, normal, and light. But I noticed that the shirt that the character was wearing was a bit of a callback to Wind Waker, because if you remember at the start of Wind Waker, um, Link wore a blue tunic. It was quote unquote stylish according to Smash Brothers Brawl, while the hero of Wind, hero of Time, the green outfit, the normal outfit, was not very stylish. So Toon Link wasn't very happy. Um, but according to Anuma, EJ Anuma, apparently that wasn't Link, or it may have not been Link, may not even have been a boy. So perhaps this is a relative of Link, an older or younger sister, if we're going all the way through. I mean, looking at the sides of the head, the hair in front of her, in front of the ears, has never gone that low on Link's face. So either it's a girl and she's had to cut her hair, to try to pretend to be her brother or something. I don't know what's going on, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a new Zelda for the Wii U. Who doesn't love that? And now for a completely new IP, Splatoon. I love the concept. It's a team-based, domination style third-person shooter where the goal is to cover the entire map in your own ink. You can turn into a squid, and in your own ink you can move super fast when you're a squid. I just love the concept because it takes the kind of dark and gritty genre of kind of third person, first person shooters, and then just completely changes the tone while retaining the gameplay, and it just makes it so more accessible for people that don't want to just play kind of Battlefield or COD, um, such as myself. I'm not a fan of first-person shooters unless they have some form of kind of comedic or light-hearted element, such as Team Fortress 2, for example. Um, Also announced was Xenoblade Chronicles X. Soft's X has now been officially tied to Xenoblade Chronicles. And when I first saw the trailer, I was just thinking to myself, they're just doing this for the sales. There's like no relation to the actual Xenoblade game. And there doesn't really seem to be. As far as the story goes, as far as I'm aware, it's that two alien races are fighting up in the sky above Earth, and Earth is getting really damaged from the fight. And it was only about halfway through the trailer I saw one of the alien races, I presume, and it's like, yeah, those kind of look like the Machina, I think. That's a connection, but it's really vague. They could just be humanoid robots. It might not be related to the Machina. And it really took until the last 5 seconds of the actual trailer for me to decide, yeah, this is a proper Xenoblade Chronicles game, because a bunch of Nopon fell out of a box, and yeah, do not bring Riki back. I cannot last another game with Riki in it. Um, and now I'm gonna probably speed up a little. There's just about 5 more games I want to talk about. I know more were announced, kind of ones like Fossil Fighters and stuff, but just 5 more I actually do want to talk about. Bayonetta 2. I know some people, PS4, Xbox One fans, they're gonna be like, what kind of hell magic did Nintendo use to get Bayonetta on their platform and not ours? Perfect answer is Sega did not want to publish Bayonetta 2, and Nintendo offered Platinum the chance. Basically, blame Sega or any other publisher except Nintendo. Nintendo is the reason it's existing at all. Okay? Be happy with that. And besides getting a Wii U exclusive in Bayonetta 2, we also get an updated version of the original Bayonetta. And considering that Wii U is actually the only console that seems to do 1080p consistently with pretty relative ease, compared to, what is it, Watch Dogs gets 900p and 720p, and then on Wii U we can run basically the same kind of graphical fidelity games at 60 FPS, 1080p, grand. There is something wrong with the PS4 and Xbox One, guys. If the Wii U, which was released earlier and has less RAM, can do better. But in Bayonetta 2, the premise, I think, is she's gone down to hell and she's either trying to get back out or going deeper. I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that they are adding in Nintendo-based costumes, much like Namco did for Tekken Tag Tournament 2. I mean, who doesn't remember Anna Williams dressed as Zero Suit Samus? Am I right? I'm right. So, we're gonna have basically the same kind of premise for Bayonetta, except because there's only one playable character, as far as I know, all the costumes are for her. So this is the closest to a female Link you're gonna get. Unless the new Zelda, that was actually Link, but it wasn't a dude. In which case, that's confusing. Also given more information was Yoshi's Woolly World. The information that was given about it was the fact it's called Yoshi's Woolly World, because the last time we saw it, it was known as Yarn Yoshi, which is basically a reference to the fact it was a bit like Kirby's Epic Yarn, I suppose. Speaking of Kirby, Kirby Rainbow Curse was revealed for the Wii U, I believe it is, and I'm sorry, it's just too close to Kirby Canvas Curse, or what was the one for the DS where he was a ball? It's like the exact same game, but with better graphics. I'm sorry, Nintendo, you just had 2 quite good Kirby games, and now you're moving back to gimmicky Kirby. Why? Why? Is it because Sakurai's making Smash Brothers and he's not looking? I'm sorry, just why? And now, the 2 games that I think will either make or break Nintendo. And it's not because they're big games, it's because of what they are. Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker is a game that consists of a Toad. Captain Toad from Super Mario Galaxy, but a Toad going through a cube kind of level, collecting treasure. I've seen this kind of gameplay before. There's a Disgaea game where you do a similar thing with Prinnies, and there's a game on the DSi shop, where you're a boy trying to get to his pet fish. But really, I don't know how they're gonna add to it, and I really don't know why they didn't just make a new IP out of it, much like Splatoon. Yeah, that's a new franchise. Yeah, we can. I think it would be good, and you can update it. But Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, why did they use Toad? Toad is one of the longest running characters in Nintendo's history. Yes. He has been going for as long as Princess Peach. He has been in all the Mario kind of games since Super Mario Bros. For the NES. He was playable in Mario Bros. 2 and was considered one of the, I think, worst characters in that game. But that was all a dream, so he didn't actually have a playable occurrence. And yes, he's been playable in games like Mario Party and Mario Kart. He's been a special move in Smash Brothers, but he's never been. And if you've more than 2 players in a multiplayer Mario game, yes, 2 Toads will step up. But Captain Toad, and Toads in general, are the equivalent of Goombas. Captain Toad himself is the equivalent of maybe the Goomba with the mustache, Goomboss, in like Mario 64 DS. Just, yeah, he looks more competent, but he's still a Toad. Much like, yeah, that Goomba has a mustache and he's bigger, but he's still a Goomba. Just, like, when we see Captain Toad in Galaxy, it's not like, oh yeah, we'll go get you your star if you sit idle for 15 minutes. We'll just be scenery. They're letting scenery be the main character. I mean, like, we've seen power-ups get game series of their own. Yoshi is a brilliant example of that. But just Toad. No! And then, okay, moving on. The last game I want to talk about, I'm ending on a downer because it was really good start, but ending on a downer. Codename Steam. I'm sorry, just... It's a real-time strategy game for the 3DS. I think it's real-time anyway. There are plenty of strategy RPGs for the Nintendo 3DS. We have Ghost Recon Shadow Wars. We have Fire Emblem. We have, admittedly, the worst Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game ever. We have... I thought of more of them, but I've forgotten them. What was it? 2 Etrian Odyssey games. We have a fair few strategy RPGs. Admittedly not real-time, but still, even then they're turn-based. And I didn't really hear much about it besides basically what it is in terms of game. But does anyone remember the last time Nintendo announced a game while it had the Codename Steam or Project Steam? It was on the Wii U. Or sorry, it was on the Wii in 2006. Project Hammer. Hammer. It was a third-person action-adventure game set in this world made up of blues and greys and browns, where you were a dude with a giant hammer. It was the most generic action game ever. And guess what never happened to it? I'm gonna give you a few seconds. If you said released, correct. Never got released. It wasn't finished. So, considering they haven't even come up with a title for this yet, unless Codename Steam is the finished product, or they pull a Nintendo DS or 3DS on it and say, oh yeah, this isn't the actual title, and then it becomes the actual title. I don't see how this is going to be a good game. Just the fact that I know during the Splatoon talk, going back to Splatoon, they said they tried to make good gameplay and then think of a story. But I really feel in a strategy RPG, the characters should not be an afterthought. The characters are what makes you go through some of the slog bits where it's like, I don't want to play for the next 20 minutes just to kill one guy. And you will if the characters are entertaining. If it's like, yeah, that guy is a douche. He just murdered an entire village, including my best friend from childhood. Ignoring the fact my childhood friend was being possessed by a demon from some distant kingdom, but still, he killed my childhood friend, and I'm going to kill him right back. It's you need that level of either complicated backstory or just kind of interesting characters in order to make your game, your strategy game, worthy of being played. So I'm just gonna end it there. Uh, Actually, just one more thing, so that we don't end just on a completely sad note. Fantasy Life. Um, Fantasy Life has it's a 3DS game where you can play as a bunch of different people. As I think it's 3DS anyway. It was 3DS last time I checked, about a year and a bit ago anyway. It's been in the works since the Nintendo DS. It's been made by Brownie Brown. You might not have heard of them. They kind of did work on Mother 3, I think. When it was on the DS, it used the same kind of design style as Mother 3, and also the mini game that was in Professor Layton and the Lost Future, or Unwound Future for you Americans. Um, so that's good, and it's got a bunch of different jobs, so plays out differently each time. Each job has a different ending theme. Basically, you play out your life, and yeah, you can choose to be a farmer, a hunter, a warrior, a mage, cook, cleaner, presumably. I don't know if you can be a hobo or something. You probably can. Um, yeah. So in summary, Nintendo had a good E3, but there are one or two landmines they have to avoid stepping on and shooting themselves in the foot. The landmine. Landmines don't use bullets. That's a horrible analogy. But we'll end on that. This is ModernRetroGamer signing off. See you guys next time.